She slammed her clipboard on my gate and barked, "Open up, we're here to seize this property." Three men in fake uniforms stood behind her, sunglasses on, acting like they were some kind of SWAT team. My hands clenched, but I stayed still. I was on my own ranch, on my own land, and this so-called HOA Karen thought she could raid me like I was a criminal. She shoved a paper through the fence, cheap print, no seal, no signature, yet she shouted, "This is an official notice. You're trespassing on HOA property." Trespassing on land I bought, worked, and bled for. My jaw tightened, but I kept quiet, watching every move. The men reached for their belts, fake badges flashing under the sun. One whispered, "Should we drag him out?" Karen smirked and said, "Do it. He's not gonna fight back." I almost laughed. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I stepped forward slowly, my boots crunching the dirt, and said calmly, "You sure you want to do this? You're stepping on the wrong ranch." Karen rolled her eyes, waving her fake notice like it was a sword. "I own this neighborhood," she screamed, "and you're just squatting here." That was the first mistake she made, thinking I was powerless. Because I wasn't just some rancher. I was a former Navy SEAL, and I'd been trained for situations far worse than a fake HOA raid. And right then I knew I wasn't the one in danger. They were. Karen banged her fist against my fence, shouting, "If you don't hand over the keys, we'll take you down by force." The three fake cops puffed up their chests, but I noticed the trembling in their hands. Their holsters were empty, no sidearms, just cheap plastic belts meant to fool someone who didn't know better. She must have hired them off Craigslist or something, thinking intimidation would work. I tilted my head, studying them like I used to study enemy patrols overseas. Their formation was sloppy, their stance weak. "You boys even know what you're doing?" I asked. One of them muttered, "We're law enforcement." His voice cracked like glass. Karen cut him off. "Don't talk to him, he's dangerous." He threatened the entire HOA. That's when one of my ranch dogs started barking behind me, teeth bared, tail stiff. Karen flinched but covered it up with a louder scream. "Call it off or I'll have him shot." I stepped closer, my eyes locked on hers. "Funny thing," I said, my voice low but steady, "you don't have a gun, none of you do." Her face went pale. The men shifted nervously, looking at each other. One whispered, "Karen, this isn't what you said it would be." She snapped, "Shut up, do as I say." Then she turned back to me, eyes wild. "You have no idea who you're messing with." That was her second mistake, because she had no idea who I was either. I pulled my phone from my pocket and hit a button. Hidden cameras around the ranch started recording every second of this circus. If Karen wanted a fight, I was going to give her something much worse: exposure. And deep down, I could already feel it. This wasn't going to end with just shouting at my fence. She was planning something bigger, something dangerous. Her cell phone rang loud, sharp. Karen answered with a fake calm, then nodded like she'd won. "They're on their way," she told the men, 2 deputies and a tow. She hung up and smiled at me like a viper showing teeth. "See, real cops, you're finished." I watched her grin and felt something cold crawl up my spine. If the county showed up with deputies, they could make whatever lie she wanted stick for the cameras she always loved. My throat closed for a second, not from fear but from anger. Kids lived on this ranch with me sometimes. My name was on every loan, every deed. I had fought for this country. I had sworn to protect what was mine. "Before you call anyone," I said slowly, "you should know a few facts." I stepped up to the gate and held out my hand with the title deed in it, official, stamped, unbreakable proof. "This is my land, this house, these fields, my name. Any notice you hand through that fence is fake." Karen's smile faltered. "That's forged," she spat. "We have authority here." One of the fake men laughed too loud. "We'll see about that, old man." He reached for his phone. I moved faster than they expected, calm, practiced. I tapped the screen and the feed went live. The cameras, the gate cam, the dog cam, everything streaming straight to my social account with a caption that said, "Trying to steal my ranch. Live." The numbers started rising, views, shares, angry comments. Karen's laugh turned into a bark. "Take that down, you can't." She cut herself off when a car rolled up, not a marked cruiser but a black SUV with tinted windows. 2 men stepped out wearing plain clothes and badges on neck lanyards. My heart sank for a beat, then steadied. One of them walked right up to Karen, tapped her shoulder and said, "You called us for a private repossession, right?" Her face fell. She stammered, "Yes, yes, we." The man sighed and pulled out a uniformed patch. It wasn't county. It was a private security firm patch, licensed, legal, but only authorized for evictions under court order. "No court order," he said flatly, looking at Karen, then at my live stream. "You don't have paperwork, we can't do anything." Karen's eyes flashed hate. She tried to turn the story. "He's hostile, he threatened us." But on the live stream my voice was steady and my proof was plain. People typed faster than she could lie. The private security left with a shrug and the fake men exchanged worried glances. Then the real twist hit like a punch. A marked sheriff cruiser screamed down the road, blue lights cutting through the evening. Karen's mouth opened like she'd been slapped. The deputy who stepped out took off his hat and looked right at me. He saluted not to Karen but to me. "Sergeant Collins," he asked, voice respectful. "We got your backup call." Backup call? I hadn't called anyone. My hand tightened on the phone, then I remembered the message buried in an old text thread, a name I hadn't used in years. Someone had called for me. Someone was feeding her a script and someone else had called the sheriff pretending to be me. Somebody was playing a deeper game. I smiled coldly into the camera and said, "Looks like the story just got bigger." Karen's fake confidence cracked when the deputy turned his back on her and walked straight up to me. "Sir, are you safe here?" he asked. His tone wasn't suspicious, it was respectful, the kind you only hear when someone knows your history. I gave him a firm nod. "Safe enough, but these people," I tilted my head toward Karen and her crew, "are trespassing and impersonating law enforcement." The deputy's jaw tightened. He eyed the so-called officers in their flimsy belts and fake badges. "Badges off, now!" The three men froze. Karen shrieked, "Don't you dare, they're authorized." The deputy raised his hand and said flatly, "Ma'am, you interrupt me again and you'll be in cuffs." That was the first time I saw her shut up. Her face turned beet red, but she bit her tongue. The men slowly unclipped their shiny knockoff badges and dropped them in the dirt. My livestream caught every second, comments flying across the screen. "Arrest her, shut her down, this is fraud." Then the deputy lowered his voice and leaned close to me. "Sir, you don't know me, but I know you. My father served with you overseas. He told me if I ever ran into a man named Collins, I'd know I was standing with someone dangerous and someone honest." Karen overheard and exploded. "Dangerous? You're siding with a criminal, he doesn't even belong here." I cut her off, my voice sharp but calm. "Karen, you ever wonder why your little tricks never work on me? Why I don't scare when you bring fake cops, fake notices, fake threats?" She blinked, caught off guard. "Because I've been raided before," I said, stepping closer. "Not by you, not by some backyard militia, but by people who knew what they were doing, and I survived every single one. You think a piece of paper can scare a Navy SEAL?" Her lips trembled, but she forced out a laugh. "You're bluffing, you're lying, you're just a squatter." The deputy turned on her, pulling cuffs from his belt. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for criminal trespass and impersonation of law enforcement." She screamed, thrashing, "No, you can't do this, I own this place, this is MY neighborhood." But even as the cuffs clicked, I felt something off. She wasn't panicking like someone who lost, it was more like she was stalling. Her eyes darted past me toward the ranch house, and for the first time, a cold realization hit me. This raid wasn't the real plan. Something or someone was already inside my property. The deputy was still wrestling Karen toward his cruiser when my dog's growl turned into a frantic bark. My head snapped toward the ranch house. The front door, which I knew I'd locked, was wide open. A shadow moved inside. I shoved the gate open and sprinted across the dirt, my boots pounding like thunder. Karen's scream carried behind me, "Stop him, don't let him in!" The fake cops hesitated, caught between fear of me and loyalty to her. One started forward, but the deputy raised his hand and barked, "Stand down." That gave me the seconds I needed. I reached the porch and froze. A man in dark clothes was inside, yanking open cabinets, tossing things on the floor like he was searching for something, not valuables. He was too deliberate, too focused. Then I saw it, he was rifling through a steel box under the table where I kept my service medals and old documents. My throat tightened. He wasn't after money, he was after proof. I stepped through the doorway, my voice low but like a blade cutting through the silence. "You've got exactly 5 seconds to put that box down and walk out." The intruder stiffened, then slowly turned. His face was hidden under a cap, but his build was military, broad shoulders, steady stance. This wasn't one of Karen's idiots. This man had training. "Funny," he said quietly, "I was told you'd be easier to break." I felt a chill creep up my spine. He knew me, not just my name, me. Karen's screech echoed from outside, "Get the papers, don't leave without them." The man smirked and kicked the steel box toward me like bait. My instincts screamed trap. I didn't move. Instead, I tilted my head, studying him the way I used to study enemy fighters overseas. His stance was too relaxed, like he wasn't worried about me at all. That's when it clicked. He wasn't here to steal, he was here to deliver a message. And whatever game Karen thought she was playing, she wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. Viral line, Karen thought she owned the neighborhood, turns out she was just someone else's pawn. The man didn't flinch when I stepped closer, he just smiled like he knew something I didn't. You still don't get it, do you? He said, voice calm, almost amused. Karen's loud, but she's nothing, she's just the cover. Outside, I could hear Karen screaming at the deputy, he's dangerous, he's lying, you don't know who he really is. Her voice cracked with desperation. The intruder pulled a folded envelope from his jacket and tossed it onto the table. Orders, he muttered. My stomach twisted as I opened it, official county letterhead, stamped and signed, only it wasn't fake, it was real. It claimed my ranch was under review for eminent domain seizure. I stared at the paper, blood pounding in my ears. They weren't trying to harass me out of this land, they were trying to take it legally on paper through back channels. Karen's raid was just the distraction. I looked up and the man's eyes narrowed. You know too much already, walk away, Collins, sell this place, don't dig deeper. Something in me snapped. I slammed the box shut and leaned across the table. I didn't spend years fighting for this country just to hand my ranch to a paper pusher in a suit. You tell whoever sent you if they want me out, they'll have to drag me out. His smirk faded. For the first time he looked unsettled. You're making a mistake. No, I said, my voice like steel, you are. From outside I heard another set of sirens. This time it wasn't one cruiser, it was three. The real backup had arrived. Karen's voice broke into a high-pitched wail as the cuffs clicked tighter. The man gave me one last cold look, then slipped out the back door before the deputies entered. I could have chased him, but I didn't, because now I knew the truth. Karen wasn't the enemy, she was just a mask for something bigger. And if they thought I was going to roll over, they picked the wrong ranch. Viral line, you can raid my house but you'll never break my ground. The deputies swarmed the yard, flashlights cutting through the dusk. Karen was screaming like a banshee, twisting against the cuffs. You idiots, you're arresting the wrong person, he's the criminal, he's the threat. One deputy read her charges out loud, trespassing, fraud, impersonation of law enforcement. Every word made her howl louder. The livestream caught it all, hundreds of comments flooding in, lock her up. Don't let her walk, HOA's a scam. But my mind wasn't on Karen anymore, it was on the envelope sitting heavy in my pocket. Eminent domain, a real signature, someone higher up wanted this land and they'd sent trained men to test me. Still, justice needed to be served tonight. I stepped out onto the porch, the cameras following me, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, these people tried to raid my ranch with fake cops and fake authority. They threatened my home, but out here the law still means something, and tonight the law says they're going to jail. The crowd online went wild. Karen spat at the dirt, thrashing like a cornered animal. You'll regret this, you have no idea who I'm connected to. I walked right up to her, calm, steady, the way I used to walk into enemy fire. Karen, I've faced warlords with armies, I've faced men who thought they were untouchable, they all said the same thing, and they all fell the same way. Her face drained of color as the deputies shoved her into the cruiser. The fake cops were rounded up too, their plastic badges bagged as evidence. But the best moment, the revenge moment, was when the deputy looked back at me, then raised his phone. Sir, you might want to know that live stream of yours, county judge already saw it. He called in, said you'll have his full support. The words hit like a hammer. For the first time that night, I allowed myself a smile. Karen had wanted to humiliate me in front of the world. Instead, she just handed me the loudest victory of my life. And deep down, I knew this was only round one. Whoever forged that order was still out there, but for tonight, justice had been served. Viral line, they came to take my land, now they're leaving in cuffs.